Hi guys, it's Fightsci here again with another video, and today we're making yet another boxing politics video on exhibitions in boxing and why they're a problem. Let's break it down. Also, this video is going to be a bit more off the cuff because I kind of already am very knowledgeable on this topic, so a lot of this is already going to be foreknowledge from, before, from what I already know, But with that, let's continue. Now, how boxing exhibitions started. Now, you can go back almost to the inception of boxing and figure out how boxing exhibitions started. It all dates back to the 1930s with Jack Dempsey. He was fighting newer boxers for money. The public wanted to see more Jack Dempsey. He's one of the original great heavyweight champions. To today, more recent and popular boxing exhibitions, Floyd versus Conor McGregor, many and numerous Jake Paul fights, and that actually very much segues into my next point, what they mean in boxing today. Now, boxing exhibitions, what they mean in boxing today and their implications is basically, most casual fans, and some of the only times they look at boxing, and I'm going to get more into that later, as ironically my boss at my job, shout out to you, man, made a very good point that while boxing exhibitions, one of the main points for boxing exhibitions is that it brings in a lot of new eyes. They're more like temporary eyes. It's more like casual fans, either MMA fans, not really into boxing, although there is a fair degree of MMA fans that are into boxing now. It brings in really casual fans, so they're only really temporary viewers. They're only around for that fight or the next exhibition with these big names they may know of, rather than real boxers, of course my favorite boxer Loma, or Gervonta Davis, or Canelo might be a bad example because he's a very big boxer, Devin Haney, just to name a few. I don't want to name the most popular boxers because they actually might bring in some casual eyes, but for the more hardcore boxing fans who they appreciate, just to name a few. Now that segues well into my next point, why they're a problem. Now, one of the main reasons people look at boxing exhibitions as an issue, specifically hardcore fans or people that just straight up don't like boxing, is that they're very gimmicky. Paul versus Tyson being a good example. One of the main reasons I wanted to make this video. You got Mike Tyson, he's 60 years old, or about to be 60. You got Jake Paul, who's 27, he's not even in his 30s yet. Basically his a junior by 31 years fighting him, and then you got people saying just because it's Mike Tyson he might have a shot, and then you see him gassing he's superhuman, maybe in his prime he was superhuman, but the problem is he's human and Father Time is unbeaten, and you saw what happened. It was one of the worst fights I've seen recently. It was just Jake just peppering with jabs all 8 rounds, and McGregor versus Mayweather, Mayweather being arguably one of the best boxers ever, and Conor McGregor is probably one of the best mixed martial artists ever. That's subject to verification on who you ask, but the problem is, even though he has good boxing for a mixed martial artist, he's still just a mixed martial artist. That's what you need to understand. So it's just very gimmicky, and I guess to further elaborate upon what I said before, it just brings in a lot of casual eyes. It doesn't really bring in, really hardcore fans. You're not going to get too many hardcore fans that watch boxing exhibitions besides shits and giggles, Now, these next 2 points I'm just going to kind of combine into one point. How to fix and should it be fixed? Now, the main way to fix boxing exhibitions is to simply boycott them. If you don't want to see Mike Tyson get peppered with a jab for 8 rounds, you probably should just boycott it. If it smells like a turd, looks like a turd, it probably is a turd type thing. But you know, it's a double-edged sword. You can go either way on them in terms of, like, argument for boxing exhibitions or against them. You know, for boxing exhibitions is it brings in a lot of new eyes, casual eyes. It might make some hardcore boxing fans. You know, funny story, how I really got into boxing was I heard about Logan Paul and KSI. I think that was sometime around mid-2020, 2019 maybe 2020. And 2019, 2020, that was the first boxing match I ever watched. Now, the first real boxing match I ever watched was, ironically, Yukiuris Gamboa versus Devin Haney, November 7th, 2020. Is when I really became a boxing fan. A little piece of trivia about me, it was a little over 4 years ago. But, you know, it's just, you know, but an argument against it is that it's only temporary fans, and, you know, it's not really, there isn't, I guess I'm more for the argument against boxing exhibitions, because really how I got into boxing was a boxing exhibition, but, you know, there isn't really going to be too many people like me, because I had my dad around to show me, like, real boxing matches, you know, really get me into the sport, and not too many people are going to have that. So it's kind of like you could go either way on it. Now, the final point I want to get into is, you know, its implications. You know, the main reason boxers do boxing exhibitions, it's mainly a cash grab. The formula is pretty simple. It's pretty much just get two big names that gross a lot of money. Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather was the fight to make at the time. But it's like, it's a huge gate and a huge purse, but what does it really do for either fighter's legacy? I mean, that was Floyd Mayweather's final fight, and the fight he used to break Rocky Marciano's 49-0 record, but it's like, you go from fighting like Miguel Cotto and Marcos Maidana, you know, got Shane Mosley, who else? I can't remember the guy's name. I'll probably just put a graphic up on screen. It's something Judah, and and then you go fight Conor McGregor. It's like, what does that really do for your legacy, man? You're already a first ballot Hall of Famer and arguably one of the best boxers of all time, and it's like, you go ahead and do a gimmick fight like that, it kind of soils your legacy a little bit, or at least sullies it. And Conor McGregor, it arguably ruined his career, because the next MMA fight he got into, he got completely shellacked by Khabib Nurmagomedov, you know, so its implications are also not very good. I think you can make an argument for or against boxing exhibitions. I believe the main problem people have with them, including myself, is they don't bring a lot of credibility to the sport. To further elaborate, while gimmick fights like Paul versus Tyson do bring new eyes to the sport, most of them won't stick around, and in addition, not being good for the credibility of the sport, it's not good for its longevity either, because these people will not stick around. You can almost guarantee that. 75% of them at least, if not more. With that being said, this is Fightsci signing out.